This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. It's 7 o'clock. Oh boy, scenes of summer. At the end of February, the Bay Area is seeing a big warm up and people are certainly taking advantage of it. So in San Jose, homeschooling, oh wow, it turned into a lesson in fun for this group of kids. They spent the day outside paddling around Calero Reservoir, where temps were in their upper 70s. And then in San Francisco, instead of the office, hey, Dolores Park was the place to be. No suits and ties here, only people in bathing suits enjoying the sun and warm temps after our recent rains.
We deserve this day. Yeah. We deserve this weather after all the rain, but it's beautiful out.
I never know what to expect in San Francisco.
Well, Darren knows spring has sprung. What will we expect for the weekend? First Alert meteorologist Darren Peck has, enjoy it now, right?
Yeah, enjoy it for 2 more days.
Okay.
And in his defense, I wouldn't expect mid-70s in February.
Absolutely.
It can happen. We didn't break a record today, but these numbers are kind of impressive. They're very impressive to the south. Let's pan that camera over to the left if we can, and let's take a look down at Southern California and where the real center for this warm-up is. Big dominant center of high pressure. Look how red it is down here in Southern California. There were parts of the desert today and tomorrow at 99. Let's come back up here to us. So we'll take a look at the Bay Area's little version of this as we fly past our center of high pressure. And when you take a look at 2 indicator numbers for us, there's San Jose and San Francisco. San Jose on the verge of 80, San Francisco in the mid-70s. That was then. Here's tomorrow. Let's take a look at what your Saturday is going to be like, and we'll get everybody's numbers on here. It's the same. San Jose, you're going to 80 again tomorrow. You can see the numbers down here towards the southern end of the Santa Clara Valley. We'll be doing it. Santa Cruz, that's you in the 70s. Monterey, you'll be in the low to mid 70s. And as we take that trip up north, by the way, there's San Francisco doing it again. There's going to be plenty of sunshine on this day. We're not breaking records here, but we are 10 to 12 degrees above average. This is the last day of February. On the first day of March on Sunday, these are all going down, like 10 to 15 degrees, and then there's a chance of rain. So we'll look at both of those coming up in the full forecast in just a bit. For now, Juliette, back to you.
Darren, thanks so much. Now to some breaking news. If you lived here in the Bay Area for some time, then you likely remember the case of Sierra Lamar. She was the 15-year-old girl who went missing near Morgan Hill in 2012. The Bay Area News Group reports that today an appellate court overturned the conviction of Antolin Garcia Torres, the man who is currently serving life in prison for Sierra's kidnapping and presumed killing. Her body has never been found. During the trial, Garcia Torres was also accused of 3 attempted kidnappings, reported 3 years before Sierra's disappearance. But today, the appellate court found that trying all 4 cases together may have prejudiced a jury as they were considering the murder charge in the Lamar case. The Santa Clara DA's office has the option to appeal the decision, but if it is denied, it may refile the murder charge in the case, which could mean the case would then be retried. All right, we are getting a first look at police body cam video from the arrest of a 72-year-old Brentwood woman who later died. Her family says it was because of the way police treated her. Our Brad Hamilton reports on the video and the family dispute that led to the controversial arrest.
Today, up against the city's deadline, Brentwood police released the body-worn camera footage from the arrest of 72-year-old Yolanda Ramirez, who died 7 days after this incident. The body camera footage shows police arriving last September. Yolanda is the first person officers come into contact with.
Look, I'm his sister.
Yeah, okay.
Her sister called police after Ramirez showed up at her home over a dispute over medical care for their brother. 2 officers arrived on scene to try to mediate the dispute, at times talking to Ramirez by her car. Police say that Ramirez's sister wanted to file a citizen's arrest. Things escalate when Ramirez says this.
Your address? Okay, hold on. Beachman, do you need her? She's trying to leave.
Yolanda and officers argue until eventually she is placed in cuffs. Yolanda refuses to get in the car, and eventually officers physically put her in the cruiser.
Get in the car. Pick your legs up and get in the car.
The Ramirez family has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the department for what happens next. They say the video shows Ramirez's head getting slammed as she lies across the back seat as officers close both doors. Yolanda's husband believes his wife would still be here today had police been less forceful.
Now I understand why they have delayed so long to show us that video, because it was horrific.
Police did not talk today, but in their video release, they claimed that Ramirez caused her own injury by resisting and pushing out with her feet as the doors closed. Alone now in the back seat, Ramirez struggled against her handcuffs as police continued their investigation. About 15 minutes later, officers check on Ramirez, who shows signs of having a medical issue.
Open your eyes. Can you get out of the car?
Shortly after, officers uncuff Ramirez and call for an ambulance.
It seemed like they cared what was happening. They were just forced to do what they were doing, not because they thought it was right, only because they were forced to.
The official autopsy found Ramirez died from natural causes. The family's autopsy cited blunt force trauma and asphyxiation.
The San Jose Police Department is trying to pull back on its touted license plate readers. There are more than 400 flock cameras around the city. But Police Chief Paul Joseph is now requesting that the data gathered is only kept for 30 days instead of a year. Ban the cameras from recording cars leaving places of worship or certain medical facilities and tighten access to the data collected. The San Jose City Council is set to consider the changes on March 10th. Chief Joseph's request comes amid backlash over unauthorized agencies gaining access to Flock's data. So this week, Mountain View voted to end its contract with the company, while Santa Clara County voted to prohibit the Sheriff's Department from accessing data in the cities of Cupertino and Saratoga. There's a new report out today. It's highlighting growing inequality amid the Bay Area's economic boom. The Silicon Valley Index, it comes out every year. It is a sprawling look at the job market, housing, and other economic trends across the region. The report is showing something new, a population gap. As Len Ramirez explains, those changes are already reshaping the region's future.
Marie Bernard remembers when Silicon Valley was young and she was part of the new generation. She worked at HP in the 1980s doing worldwide marketing for early PCs. Back then, the valley was booming with opportunity in youth.
We really thought we were going to change the world, change the way the world worked, change the way the world lived. And in many ways that did happen for some of us.
Today, Marie is on her second career as the CEO of Sunnyvale Community Service, helping families and seniors with food and rental assistance, a far cry from her early days in tech.
The seniors now, people my age, people who are in their 60s and 70s and 80s are being left behind.
Her journey mirrors a broader transition happening across the region. At a packed ballroom at San Jose State University, business and civic leaders gathered for the 30th anniversary release of the State of Silicon Valley Report. Joint venture Silicon Valley CEO Russell Hancock delivered the findings.
We have a very hot economy. It's creating a lot of wealth. It's not creating as many jobs, and our housing is too expensive.
But beneath that economic strength is a demographic turning point. The report shows the population over 65 has grown by 29% over the last dozen years. At the same time, the number of children under 18 has dropped 15%, one of the lowest since the report began tracking the data.
We're an aging population. That's a growing segment of our population. At the same time, on the other side, we're losing kids. And that's because birth rates have declined. Dramatically. They've declined by 50% since 1990. We used to reproduce. No more. We're not doing that.
The implications are far-reaching. Fewer babies today could mean a smaller workforce tomorrow, but we're already seeing signs of that shift.
San Jose Unified School right now, the Unified School District, right now, they're discussing closing down 1/3 of their elementary schools. There's a hue and a cry about that. That's what's happening in Silicon Valley.
Back in Sunnyvale, Marie sees another side of the shift. Many of the seniors she serves are struggling, especially with rising rents and food costs.
We're at a tipping point, I really believe, that the older generation are going to find that there's no one to take care of us. There's no one who has the wherewithal because they're moving away because they can't afford to live here.
At 72, Marie is thinking about retiring again. But for now, she's not stepping away. She's still stepping up, using decades of Silicon Valley experience to make a difference in challenging times.
Another measles exposure in the Bay Area. The restaurant the infected person visited twice. Also, strike averted. Details on the deal that will keep Oakland teachers in the classroom instead of on the picket lines. Teachers in Oakland will not be going on strike. So early this morning, they reached a tentative deal with the district after months of negotiations. Under the deal, the highest paid educators would get a 13% raise over the next 2 years. All other educators would see an 11% wage increase in that time. The agreement also includes extra pay to keep credentialed teachers in early education and special education jobs. The new deal still needs to be ratified by union members, and it comes as Oakland Unified faces an estimated $100 million deficit next year. The school board just voted to eliminate about 400 positions to help close that gap. A Santa Clara County resident with measles may have exposed others while dining out earlier this week. Health officials say the person had just returned from an international trip and visited several places in San Mateo County, including a Panda Express in Burlingame on Monday and Tuesday. The biggest risk is to those who are unvaccinated. And this comes as health officials warn the U.S. is on track for another record-breaking year for measles. The CDC is reporting more than 1,100 confirmed cases so far this year, which is 6 times more than what's typical for an entire year. At least 21 cases were confirmed in California. All right, the latest snow survey, it shows that California's snowpack is actually falling further behind despite getting a lot of snow from this month's storms. The California Department of Water Resources says the statewide snowpack is at just 66% of the average for this date. Officials say this trend could threaten water supply if more rain doesn't come soon. The minimal bump in the snowpack comes despite storms that brought snowfall heavy enough to trigger a deadly avalanche. It also brought traffic to a screeching halt across the Sierra for days. So for more now on our weather, let's check in with meteorologist Darren Peck.
Yeah, Juliet, just a little nuance on that snow report, because we break the Sierra into 3 regions. One of them is actually 90% of where it should be for this time of year. That's the southern Sierra. But that's not where we store the lion's share of the water. For that, we got to go up north. So let's walk up to the northern Sierra, which is a very different story. This number is very low. And you think of the major reservoirs that are up here, Oroville, Shasta. These are the ones that are the workhorses of the state. That's the watershed that matters most. It's not doing all that well. Let me give you a little more perspective on this, because we really got a huge boost with the last series of storms that came through. So let's check out the forecast image here in the monitor. You're looking at the Central Sierra Snow Lab through the year. I know the writing is small, but you can see the months of the winter go along here. The red line is how snowfall has accumulated there so far this winter. We did a pretty big buildup going into early January, and then for 6 weeks it was nothing. Radio silence, no snow. That's what got us into this problem. We did have a significant snowfall, as everybody knows by now in light of the events from the last 2 weeks. And there's a pretty big bump there, but even with that bump, this shows you why we're below average. One other way to look at this, that's looking at the snow water in the snowpack. That's really what we're talking about. We're not talking about snow depth. We're talking about how much water is being stored in it. If you look at this a slightly different way, a fascinating story shows up. If you just look at precipitation, how much precipitation have we gotten in the Sierra since we got into this season? That's above average. In other words, what this is telling you is it's been too warm. We've gotten the rain/snow. Unfortunately, it's been so warm, most of it comes rain. And we lose out on the ability to store it as snowpack. It's a consequence of some of the warmer winters that we have been having and are likely to continue to see showing up in the snowpack this winter, as it has in many of them. All right, speaking of precipitation, let's go find the next chance, because it shows up right now off the coast in a beautifully well-developed area of low pressure. Look at that work of art, that counterclockwise spin sitting right off the coast. Let's step that down and get a slightly closer view on this. So you can see that spinning low out there. Here we are. I'm going to fill in where that's going to rain between now and Saturday. So we've got to come closer to California to see that. But here comes the rain from that area of low pressure Saturday night. It's going to miss us. Let's step it down one more so we can see where it lands on the landscape across Northern California. So it's too far north for us to get the rain from that. But let me show you what will happen after Saturday. Let's go back out to that wide view again now if we can, because I want to pull that forecast monitor back in. And we're going to take a look at the next system that comes behind Saturday night's miss. So here comes the miss. That's what we just saw on the virtual map. Now keep your eye out here. The center of that low we were just looking at comes into the picture. And as we get into Sunday night, it's a direct hit. There's the area, the center of it's right here. So when the low comes right overhead, going into Sunday night into Monday, there's a chance for an isolated thunderstorm. Let's play it again, but get even closer. The most likely time frame and location for this is going to be right here. So that's Sunday night late, North Bay. Don't be surprised if you get woken up by a distant rumble of thunder, or maybe one not so distant. But that'd be about it. If we look at the rainfall totals from this, I mean, it barely even registers. That's our chance of rain, and it might be the last one for a while. I just don't see much else coming our way. We need to quickly look at daytime highs for tomorrow if we can, just because it is such a significant factor in this forecast. We saw these a moment ago, but just one more view. I think this is really the headline. Numbers are going to be 10 to 12 degrees above average for one more day. And then I mentioned earlier, it's just one more day, and look what happens. Going down about 10 to 12 degrees for Sunday, gets us right back down to average. Remember the Sunday night chance for a light shower, and then that's it. We really don't have many opportunities after that, and we'll stay in the mid-60s from then on. All right, Juliet, back to you.
Great forecast, Darren. Thank you. Up next, as one Bay Area city addresses a swarm of recent quakes, another one is planning for the future by installing quake-resistant pipes. The big dig to protect the water supply. Earthquakes were the talk of the town today in San Ramon. City officials hosted a town hall at the San Ramon Community Center to help people prepare for the big one. So we've been reporting on the earthquake swarm that has rattled over the area the last several weeks, the strongest being a magnitude 4.2. No injuries or major damage, but plenty of people did feel it.
We don't know, I don't know, whether this is loosening up the chance of an earthquake, the big one, or we're getting a big one no matter what. So thus, I want to be prepared for what I can do.
Okay, so we need to prepare. Officials advise community members to have a family emergency plan and sign up for community warning system alerts. San Francisco crews are finishing a major earthquake resilience project designed to keep water flowing in the event of a disaster. The new pipeline will run nearly 4 miles from the College Hill Reservoir in Bernal Heights to Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital. They're engineered to bend and move with the shaking without the breaking. Triumphant return, the big party in San Francisco tonight, celebrating culture and community.
Hey, it's Johnny Mosley. Before you pack up your boards and load up your Toyota, let's have a glance at the conditions in the Sierra. The Toyota Tower Report is dialed in, so let's get over to the map.
Well, March 1st does kind of have a particular ring to it, doesn't it? That is Sunday. This is going to be spring skiing this weekend. Actually, more so on Saturday, technically, the last day of February. It's going to be in the low 50s mid-mountain on some of these resorts. So you know what that means in terms of timing. If you can go earlier in the day, conditions will be a bit better. You're going to get a bit slushy by the afternoon on Saturday. By the way, no new snow in the last 24 hours. That's what the totals are telling you. But we've got 10 feet of new snow in the last 2 weeks. These resorts are stacked and ready for you to get up there. Other item, going to be a bit windy on Sunday on the ridge tops, perhaps approaching 40-mile-an-hour gusts. So some of the gondolas getting you to the tops of some of the bigger resorts could have occasional delays. That is your Toyota Tahoe report.
In San Francisco, residents at packing the street for the long-awaited return of the Sunset Night Market. Take a look. It's the first of 4 happening this year and features food, music, and more. The night market was put on hold last year over funding issues and some complaints from local businesses. Festivities conclude and continue until 10 o'clock tonight. You know what? We always want to kind of give a shout out to people here at the station. Behind the scenes, Carla Duke. Carla, come on up here. She's running the Jib right now. She's a director. And she's just all around good person. Carla, 20 years celebrating here. I asked you, how long have you been here? And you said, Juliet, today, 20 years.
Yes,
I'm so glad to know you. I think I was pregnant when you first came here 20 years ago.
Goodness.
All right. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
You still have to do the 11 o'clock.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for watching. You rock. Love you, girl.